The Ashes of Greystone Hollow, Part 1, The Coven Next Door. The summer of 1974 was the hottest on record in western Massachusetts. Heat shimmered off cracked roads, and window fans whined all night long as people slept above their covers, restless and sweat-soaked. The trees drooped like they were tired of breathing. Everything was dry, brittle, and strangely still. That was the year my mother and I moved into Greystone Hollow. We left Boston after the divorce. My father, a lawyer with a too-white smile, stayed behind. My mother bought the old farmhouse for cash cheap, almost suspiciously so, and we settled in fast. She said the change of scenery would do us good. I was 11 and didn't argue. I didn't care about new beginnings. I just wanted my mother to stop crying in the laundry room when she thought I couldn't hear. The farmhouse sat on a sunken stretch of rural road. We had no close neighbors except for a house across the field, an oddly symmetrical Victorian with peeling blue paint and long, lace curtains in every window. It didn't look abandoned, but it never looked lived in either. Sometimes I'd see women on the porch in long dresses, not waving, just watching. I once asked my mother if she knew who lived there. Women, she said, closing the curtains. Not the kind who go to church. That was all she'd say. That August, the heat got worse. We had rolling blackouts and brown well water. The cows in the neighbor's pasture stopped making noise. Bees died in piles on our porch. The air felt thick, like you had to chew it before breathing. Every radio station buzzed with static at night. My mother's hands began to shake when she thought no one was watching. And always, those women across the field watched from their porch. One night, I woke to the sound of humming, not from inside the house, from out in the field. A soft, warbling song carried on the wind. It had no words but a rhythm, like the tide or a lullaby. I crept out of bed and looked out my window. A circle of women stood in the grass. No fire, no torches, just standing, swaying. One held something in her hands, red and dripping. Another knelt to press something into the soil. Then they turned, one by one, and looked at our house. I ducked. The next morning, the air smelled like burned leaves, even though nothing had burned. My mother served coffee she hadn't brewed and said nothing. That weekend, she let the women in. I woke late and wandered into the kitchen in my pajamas. 3 women sat at our table. All wore old-fashioned dresses, cotton, handmade, and had long hair pulled into braids or scarves. They sipped something from ceramic mugs and spoke in soft voices. One looked at me and smiled. "You're the one who saw us," she said. "Some children are still open, most aren't." My mother didn't introduce them. She only looked tired, like she hadn't slept. When the women left, I asked who they were. "Old friends," she said, "from before you were born." We didn't go to church anymore after that. My mother stopped shopping in town. She stopped answering the phone. She spent hours alone in the basement or in the attic, humming to herself. Once, I found a dead rabbit in a bowl in the shed, its fur perfectly clean, eyes open. The women came every Thursday. They brought jars of dark honey, bundles of herbs, small stones wrapped in black silk. They never knocked. They just entered, like they had always belonged here. Once, I found a set of symbols carved into the floor beneath our living room rug circles and sharp lines. My mother told me it was protection. From what, she didn't say. That fall, the animals started acting strange. Cats wouldn't come near our yard. Crows gathered in silent rows on the telephone wires. A fox circled our porch 3 times before vanishing into the corn. Even the wind avoided our field. One Thursday, my mother didn't come back downstairs after the women arrived. I waited. I listened. From the parlor, I heard low chanting, the scrape of something dragged across the floor. I pressed my ear to the door. I heard my mother whispering, except it didn't sound like her voice. It was deeper, older, like something wearing her face. When the door opened, the smell hit me first metallic and sweet. The women filed past me, eyes down. None spoke. My mother emerged last. Her eyes were red, not from crying, but from something else. Her lips were stained dark. She smiled. "You're safe now," she said. I didn't feel safe. I felt hollow. At school, I drew strange picture circles, thorns, hands with too many fingers. A counselor called my mother. She never came to the meeting. The next day, the counselor's car wouldn't start. The day after that, she resigned suddenly. No one mentioned her again. That winter, the cold came fast, like a punishment. The lake froze solid before Thanksgiving. We didn't decorate. We didn't visit family. We stayed inside, the curtains drawn. My mother said, "They're almost ready," but wouldn't say who. Sometimes she sat by the fireplace and stared into the flames for hours. Once, I found a bundle of teeth wrapped in cloth in the kitchen drawer. I should have run. I think, in some version of the world, I did. But that wasn't this one. The last Thursday of December, the women arrived after dark. This time, they brought candles, bowls of milk, and a long red thread. My mother took my hand. "Tonight, we make it right," she said, "for all the wrong that came before." I asked what she meant. She only smiled. The parlor was lit with dozens of candles. The furniture had been pushed aside. In the center of the room lay a shallow trench filled with salt and pine branches. The women stood around it, humming that same low song from the field. One woman, the oldest, turned to me. "Do you accept the thread?" She asked. I didn't answer. My mother squeezed my hand. They bound our wrists with the red thread. They sang in a language I didn't know. They anointed our foreheads with ash. The flames bent toward us. The room tilted. And then I was somewhere else, the field again, but older. Roar. The sky bruised purple. The ground breathing. Shadows walked between the trees on limbs too long. I saw myself not as I was, but as I had been before something changed. Before I was born. And I understood. The women weren't new. They were returning. And I wasn't a witness. I was a promise kept. To be continued in part 2, The Unraveling Thread.